Back here on the lunch break, 15 minutes from now, I will tell you the one thing the Cardinals need to prioritize here at the start of the offseason that hasn't happened in a very long time. That coming up in about 15 minutes from now. But back into the Phoenix Suns, who got off the schneid last night, a 109-99 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers with their new look operation. Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic moved to the bench. Ryan Dunn, Mason Plumlee inserted into the starting lineup. Thought it was a good performance last night from Ryan Dunn. Thrusted in as a rookie into that role. You're asking him to do a lot. There's a lot of noise that comes with that. It's not just that you're starting. It's that you're replacing a $50 million a year player. And I keep harping on that because this is a superstar caliber player, both in terms of what he's supposed to bring to the table, in terms of how he is paid by the Phoenix Suns. Superstar caliber player being sent to the bench. You as a rookie are being thrusted into the starting lineup. So not only are you going to be asked questions about how you feel about being in the starting lineup, but also you're replacing Bradley Beal. It's like if you sit down a starting quarterback in the NFL who's been with the team for a decade because the performance is starting to waver, the rookie who comes in, you're going to get asked all the questions, and you got to deal with that. So that's a tough spot to be in if you're Ryan Dunn as a rookie, and I think he handled it very well last night in not just how he played on the floor, but the way that he conducted himself in the postgame with the media. Here is where we stand with this team. Here is the question that you have to ask yourself about what you saw last night. Do you think what you saw last night from the Phoenix Suns was sustainable? And what I mean by that is not, do you think they can continue to win that way with Bradley Beal on the bench? Although that's part of it. But the real thing that I'm trying to get to the bottom of is, can you run the rest of the season? Can you have playoff aspirations? Can you have championship aspirations as an organization when you have a player of Bradley Beal's stature coming off the bench? Is that sustainable? Will that be able to last? Will the egos involved be able to see this through? Do you expect Bradley Beal for the remainder of the season to be a bench player for this team? Or do you expect this to be something to spark the team to play better, and then we will see Bradley Beal reinserted back into the starting lineup? Again, what we saw last night is not sustainable. Bradley Beal is either going to be on this team and is going back to being a starter, or he is no longer going to be on this team. What we saw last night was just a ploy to get the energy level up. It was just a ploy to try to fix things. I don't think, truthfully, the rest of the season can play out with Bradley Beal on the bench. I just don't see it. I just don't see it playing out well for all parties involved. Because let's hear from Bradley Beal on the decision to be benched. Producer Corey did an excellent job of cutting these clips up here for me. We've got two for you. We're going to hear Bradley Beal on the decision to be benched, and then we'll play a cut of Bradley Beal on the trade rumors. Now, this first one, we had to censor Bradley Beal a little bit. I guess he didn't understand that he was going to be on the radio today with this cut.
I double-checked that we're all safe.
I mean, I'm just saying he didn't realize that this was going to make some news here today. So we had to censor Bradley Beal a little bit, but you'll get the gist of what he's saying here. This is Bradley Beal on the decision to be benched in favor of Ryan Dunn.
It's like, what you thinking about?
I mean, it's kind of twofold, man. Like, cause yeah, I'm a starter in the league. Like, I firmly believe that. Like, I don't believe, no disrespect to anybody, but I'm a starter.
You're supposed to.
And that's what I firmly believe. But coach made his decision. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with him. I'm not gonna sit here and be a distraction. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, he made his decision. He's a coach. You know what I'm saying? So I just gotta go out and play my game, do what I do, and whatever happens from there, happens from there. But those are coach questions.
So two things. There's a lot in there to like, right? I'm not going to be a distraction. I'm not going to be the word that he used there that we can't use here on the radio. A jerk is maybe the nice, clean way that we can say it. That's good. You want to hear that. Okay, you don't like it. I don't expect you to like it. You've been playing basketball for a really long time. You've been playing it at an elite level, so much so that you got a $50 million a year salary. You should feel like you belong in the starting lineup. But I like that you are not going to be a distraction. Yet that, if we were viewing this answer if it was the sandwich, that was the meat and cheese in the middle of the sandwich, I'm more concerned about the 2 pieces of bread for the sandwich. I'm more concerned at the front end saying, I'm a starter. I'm more concerned on the back end saying, those are coach questions. The bread to that sandwich of an answer is what concerns me more than the meat and cheese in the middle. Because if Bradley Beal believes he's a starter, and again, he should believe that he's a starter, then you can't convince me that this is going to end well with him in this role, that this is a long-term answer to this problem. And the problem being the Phoenix Suns stink right now. And I don't know if he meant it this way, but he threw it all on the coach. Those are coach questions. Okay. I read that answer as him trying to be diplomatic, him trying to say the right things, but you can see little glimpses of a player who does not like the situation he finds himself in. You see little glimpses of a player who is not going to be in this role for very long. Again, he's either going to be back in the starting lineup or he is not going to be on this team. Ask yourself, do you expect the rest of the season to play out with Bradley Beal coming off the bench? Now, we played 30 minutes, but do you expect that to be the way things play out? Do you expect Bradley Beal to accept this role? Did that answer give you an indication that he's going to accept this role? There are some players who will accept that role, be a great sixth man, come off the bench, be energetic, fire up their teammates, and do all the things that you want a role player, bench player, sixth-man player to be. I don't get the feeling from that answer that that is what Bradley Beal is interested in doing, because I will follow up the clip we just played with another cut of Bradley Beal. And credit to Dwayne Rankin. Does a great job covering the Suns. He put these out on Twitter. That's where we grabbed these from. So you just heard about the decision to be put on the bench. Now Bradley Beal is asked about the Jimmy Butler trade rumors.
I was going to say, I'm sure you've been aware of kind of like all the other stuff, moving parts around the league, Jimmy and all that.
Yeah.
There's some speculation around the league that this is related to that. Have you thought about kind of like moving on starting line related to the bigger picture?
If so, I need to be addressed because I hold the cards. So until I'm addressed and somebody says something differently, then I'm going to be a Sun.
I hold all the cards. Until it is addressed, I hold all the cards. Let's try to unpack that a little bit. Doesn't seem like, from Bradley Beal's perspective, he's been approached about anything near waiving his no-trade clause. And he also said the most important thing, I hold all the cards, meaning Bradley Beal dictates this entire situation. So if he's upset about his role, if he's upset about being benched, he also can make this extremely painful for the Phoenix Suns. This is truly a high-stakes game of chicken between two parties right now. I don't think we're fully to Jimmy Butler in Miami territory where those two sides can't see eye to eye. But if this continues, if Bradley Beal is going to continue to be a bench player, if Bradley Beal is going to continue to be upset about being a bench player, and yet Bradley Beal controls where he goes, this is going to be an extremely high-stakes game of chicken where the Suns and Bradley Beal are going to be pitted against each other. And this team can't afford that. This team needs to figure out a way to get things back on track, to get things back going in the right direction so that this big three can see this through. You just heard it right there, how difficult this is going to be. He holds all the cards. And so until that time comes, until he is addressed, he says, I'm a Phoenix Sun. But I don't get the warm and fuzzies from those two clips. Do you? Do you feel better about the Phoenix Suns today after they won last night with this new operation and hearing those two cuts from Bradley Beal? Do you feel better today? Did you wake up today thinking about the long-term big picture for the Phoenix Suns this season and felt better about where they're at? Or did you feel the same that you felt yesterday? You just don't feel any worse. It's like when you're getting over a cold. I don't feel better. I'm just glad I don't feel worse. That's where we're at with the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are a bad cold right now. The Phoenix Suns are a bad cold that it's not getting worse, but I don't know if it's getting better. I know you won a game last night. I know you finally stopped the losing streak. But I just heard a player talk about how he feels like he's a starter, that he promises that he doesn't want to be a distraction, that he's not going to do that, that coach made a decision. While it's difficult, he's going to respect it. But he passed the buck to his head coach. He said that he's a starter, and then he also talked about holding all the cards. He did not sound like a player who is super happy with the current situation. That doesn't mean he's wrong for feeling that way. He should feel that way. But let's go back to the question I asked at the beginning of the segment. Is this sustainable? Is what we saw last night the way the Suns are going to operate the rest of the season? I have way too much information pointing me in the direction of no. I have way too much information pointing me towards this can't continue. There are two outcomes here. Bradley Beal is reinserted back into the starting lineup as this team figures things out, although they're running out of time to do so. Or Bradley Beal isn't here anymore. That's it. What we saw last night, they might run it out again tonight against Charlotte. They might run it out a couple of games here in January to try to steady the tide, to try to just slow things down, to try to stay above water. They might do that. That's not what it's going to look like come postseason time if they get there. It's unsustainable. Because Bradley Beal is going to be asked about this every single day. And I don't think he's going to feel better and better about it the more we go through this. He's going to want to be back in the starting lineup. And again, last night, he was the leading scorer on the team in almost as, throwing up the middle finger to say, see, I deserve to be in the starting lineup. This is not sustainable. This is a house of cards right now. And so while I'm here today to tell you that it's good that the Suns won last night, it's good that this worked because the alternative would be bad, I still don't think we've turned this around. There are still big problems for this team. And those two clips that we played from Bradley Beal should be a warning sign that we are not through this yet.